I've talked about this all the time. I don't understand how they can continue to survive. I understand the world buys things from China, but when you're spreading that kind of money around the world and locking down your economy and doing militaries are hugely expensive things, how in the world are they still surviving?
Yeah, well, you know how big our debt problem is, right? Well, our debt's about 125% of GDP. The UK just had a sovereign debt crisis, similar numbers. China's got 300% debt to GDP problems. So massive debt. And then on top of that, they got all the other stuff, right? They got the real estate crisis. They got credit crisis. They got ghost cities. They got bubbles all over the place. They got the COVID lockdowns. They got protests in the streets, et cetera. But to answer your question, how do they get away with it? Well, they got a $15 trillion economy, and they have a 40% savings rate. That savings rate is 40% basically going to the government coffers. You can solve a lot of problems with 40% of $15 trillion in the short and even intermediate and maybe the long term. But their real economy now is showing signs, right, of decay. You can only build so many bullet trains and so many condo complexes, right? The next layer of investment and technological growth and entrepreneurship and innovation is harder to come by. You can only steal so many technological innovations from Boeing and our defense industry before you got to do it on your own. And the U.S., the CHIPS Act, and some of the CHIPS stuff the Biden has done to China is actually good. We really put the smackdown on them with CHIPS a little bit. So I think their days are numbered, right? The people are in the streets being heard for the first time ever in modern Chinese history. So that's a good sign.
Dave, what's a ghost city?
Yeah, they're just all over China. Go out to YouTube and Google the China real estate bubble and the examples. But basically, they don't have a stock exchange where the Chinese can invest their retirements and bond markets like we have. So about 30% of their economy is the housing sector because you buy 1, 2, 3 houses as your savings account, right? That's your long-term investment. And when China was growing at 8 or 9%, your asset just went up always, like, before the 2008 financial crisis here. So it was a prudent investment back then. The Chinese didn't know there was a bubble. And in the Evergrande case and all these real estate examples, what the firms do is the folks invest. They're not even going to live there, right? You have 3 homes, you only live in 1. So the firms take that money and they start building the next project. And that all works until the music stops, right? Then the musical chairs and you got to find a place to sit. And so that's what's happening right now. The ghost cities are just the empty shells, and they could even survive without that until the music stopped, right? As investment vehicles, maybe it would have worked. But now it's investment vehicles, and the people are going to the banks and saying, I want my money back. And they're not paying current mortgage payments on that real estate. So now the musical chairs music is started, and they got no way out of it. So they're in a terrible predicament.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, Che Guevara, the latest episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.